lesson. And I want you to know while we're here, to all of our friends that are watching us in different parts of the world, you're streaming with us. Once again, we're glad you're with us and want to challenge you. Send us an email, send us a text, something, somewhere or the other. Let us know if this is blessing your life. All right, we're back into the lesson again, getting beyond the impasse. And this is part 2 of getting beyond the impasse. Now, I'm going to have to do a quick review because I've got some new faces, and so it's going to be new to some, and then it may be warmed over for others. But in our lesson today, where we're going, there is a city as well as a group of people outside of this city that's experiencing a crisis. Both the city and these people are handicapped. What I mean by that, they are helpless. They are at a disadvantage, and being successful is more difficult than being normal. I don't know if any of you have ever encompassed that before, but there are times in our lives where being successful seems to be far-fetched and far-reached. Anybody other than me? Okay. All right, good. We'll be studying today about the city of Samaria. And Samaria was under siege. It was fenced in by an army much larger than theirs. The army was more skilled. The army was more prepared than Samaria. And so everybody is now fenced into this city. They're boxed in. Nothing goes out. Nothing comes in. They're under siege. Under siege. There were also, outside of the city, there were 4 men that were living outside of the city, and they were plagued with an incurable disease, a contagious disease called leprosy. So you had a city under siege, handicapped, unable to move forward, unable to go out and come in. And then you've got a lepers camp with 4 lepers there who are not allowed to go into the city even if they wanted to. So all indication says everybody in the city is going to eventually die, as will the lepers. Now, this is something I want you to pay attention to. Both the city of Samaria and the lepers have the power. They have the power to change it. Even though it doesn't look like it, they have the power to change it. But only one of them comes up with the strategy. Only one of them comes up with the strategy. And we're going to see that in our lesson. Now, before I get into 2 Kings chapter 7, because that's the heart of the lesson, that's the text. In 2 Kings chapter 6, a few verses, 24, 25, 26, the thing that's going on inside of Samaria, there is a famine. And you would have to understand that there would be a famine that's going on in Samaria, because if you can't go and get any produce, get any stock, get any water, get anything into the city, and then you've got nothing going out, eventually the city has to rely solely on what's there. And after that runs out, what happens? You have nothing. And so in Samaria right now, it's really a bad time. It's a dark time. Famine is there. The price of goods is skyrocketed. Let me just use something that you could probably identify with. Let's just say a loaf of bread, which would probably run in that day maybe 2 cents. Now a loaf of bread has jumped to over $1.25. Did y'all get it? I want you to see how extreme it is. It has gone that bad. Let me tell you something else that's really bad about this. There are these 2 ladies, and one of them approaches the king because the king is walking outside of his palace, walking on the gate, and just really disturbed because he doesn't know what to do about the condition of the city. And she calls out to the king, "King, help, help." And he addresses her. And she says, "King, I've got a problem." He wants to know, what's the problem? She said, the lady and I, we made a deal. We've got 2 babies. We would eat one baby, and after we have eaten that baby and we get hungry again, then we'd eat the other baby. Well, King, my baby was the first. We ate my baby. And now we're hungry. And I've gone to her, say, it's time now for us to cook your baby. Kind of bad, huh? It's serious. It's serious. Now it's time for us to cook your baby and eat your baby. And she's taken off and hid the baby from me. And I'm going to die. King, what do I do? Is that right for her to take her baby? We made an agreement. But things are pretty bad. And the king tears off his clothes, and he's already got sackcloth and ashes. And sackcloth, that was kind of like a burlap sack. I don't know if y'all know anything about burlap sack, but you know, back in the day, back in the Gap, they used to have, my mama called them Irish potatoes. They would get potatoes, and potatoes would come in these 50-pound sacks, and it was burlap, and it would just scrape your skin. Yeah, wave at me if you kind of know what I'm talking about. Real rough stuff. Sometimes you could get flour and meal, and it just, just depends. So in those days, when someone was going to humble themselves before God, they would put on this burlap attire. And that burlap attire was to make them feel uncomfortable so that they could not go to God piously, but they were humble because the burlap says, I'm putting myself through something because I want more from you. Are you with me? So the king tears off his clothes, and they see his burlap on. And they're now wondering what's going on. So we pick up now the narrative in verse 1 of chapter 7. Guys, you might want to bring the AC down. I don't want to run anybody away. Want them to be able to stay warm. Now, that means you may have to say something. You may have to clap or something, every now and then. We're going to go at it. So 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 1 is where we get into the text. Then Elisha says, hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord, tomorrow, about this time, a measure of fine flour will be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. Now notice, in verse 1, and I know Pastor Wanda said something about this earlier, and I was wanting to tell her, don't say nothing else, please. Here in verse 1 is a game changer. Here is a situation changer. There's a word from the Lord spoken over the city. There's a word from the Lord spoken over the city, and it's spoken amidst the impasse. And I want to tell you again, one word from God changes everything. Now, let me just jump into this real quickly so I can help you to understand. Because Elijah says, hear the word of the Lord. Tomorrow about this time, things change. Now, there's something I want you to pay close attention to. There were no conditions based on this word that's spoken. God doesn't say, if you do this, I'm going to do this. You got to do that in order for me to do this. Are you with me? Y'all got to say something every now and then so I know you're with me. God doesn't put any stipulations on them. This is just God being sovereign. I'm going to do this tomorrow. About this time, things are going to change. Are you with me? So that's a sovereign word. A sovereign word from God is an inevitable. It can't be stopped. It can't be reversed. That's why Elisha says tomorrow. It won't require you to do anything but live through tomorrow. Because tomorrow, about this time, things will do an about face. Sovereign word from God. Now, sovereign word from God was quite often spoken in the Old Testament. We don't read much in the New Testament where the Lord is speaking sovereignly to the degree that it matches the kind of definition that I'm giving you. And inevitable. It doesn't require you to do something. The next word I want you to understand is the active word. You've got the sovereign word, both words coming from God, but they have 2 different manifestations and 2 different methods by which they operate. An active word. What is an active word from God, Pastor? An active word requires your cooperation. What did I just say? Requires whose cooperation? Tell your neighbor what you just said. What are you saying to me, Pastor? In other words, God can speak a word. And that word can be ever so enlightening, so refreshing, so transforming, but it's going to require me to do something. Unlike a sovereign word, excuse the vernacular, ain't got to do nothing. But here is an active word. And even today, when we were hearing the prophetic word spoke, there was something that we would have to do. So in our lives, you've got to remember, if you receive a prophetic word from God, most often it's going to require you to do something for that word to come to pass. Because there are a lot of people that think that if God said something, it's just going to happen. You know, I've in my travels and even in my pastorate, these 20, 30 years of pastoring, there are a lot of people that feel like if it's for me, I'm going to get it. And if it ain't for me, I'm not going to get it. I know y'all don't know nothing about that, but there's an idiom that says, well, if it's for me to get it, I'm going to have it. If it's not for me to get it, then I'm not going to have it. That's not always true. Because it does not always come to you just because it's for you. You ever noticed that? Some of you are living right now in situations and living in dire straits because there are things that you thought were going to happen automatically, and it hasn't happened automatically, and now you've got God on the witness stand for non-support. And that's because you were of the persuasion that because it's in the Bible, it's just automatic. I prayed and I know that woman is for me. I prayed and I know that man is for me. I prayed and I know that car is for me. I'm just going to get it. And it's not automatic. It's going to require your cooperation. Are you still here? So let's go to verse 2. Then a Lord on his hand, the king, he leaned over and he responded to Elisha and he said, look, if there was going to be windows in heaven, that can't happen. That's what he's saying. This Lord sitting next to the king is refuting the prophet and the word of the Lord. The prophet has said, this is what God has said, and he's saying, yeah, sure. Even if there was windows in heaven, it can't change this situation. How many times in our lives have we ran into things that we just felt like we had to help God out? Okay, you don't have to raise your hand. It's okay. You know, God is a little slow. Come on, he's not going to beat you up. God's not going to kill you. Or y'all not going to say nothing. Y'all going to play me now, huh? You know, it's okay because I don't know whether you paid attention to it or not, but sometimes God is a little slow. Oh, y'all scared. Oh, you don't want to say nothing. I peeped you. Yeah, because, you know, really and truly, we'll carry on with attitude. We won't say, God, you slow, but we'll have the attitude like he's slow. And then, you know, some things we smart enough to figure out ourselves. We don't need God for, okay, I'm sorry. I'm being messy. Yeah, there's some things that we'll just take in our own hands. So here is this servant of the king saying, yeah, right, sure. Listen, when things look their worst, God's already planned his best. You need to let that echo down in your spirit. When things look their worst, God has already planned his blessed. He has already pre-planned the best, even in worst situations. So now let's go to verse 3, because now we get to bring these fellas that I was telling you about. Now there were 4 men with leprosy at the entrance of the city gate, and they said to each other, why are we going to sit here till we die? Why are we going to sit here till we die? Now, something you need to understand here. These guys are in a precarious situation. In one sense, where can they really go and get help? They're lepers. And nobody's going to reach out and help a leper. The law says even if they walked into the city as lepers, they should be killed because it was a contagious disease. And nobody wanted to be around it. That's why they would ship you outside of the city, give you a camp of your own, and you have to fend for yourself out there. So they're saying, but look here. Why are we going to sit here till we die? They are at an impasse. What are they at? Now, what is an impasse? An impasse is a position or a situation where there's no escape. You're deadlocked. No outlet. And you ever drive trying to look for some place, and then you're in a neighborhood, and you think you could go down that street, and then all of a sudden you have a cul-de-sac, or it'll say no outlet? Yeah? That's an impasse. where there is no outlet. Let me serve notice on you. Every successful person, every successful business, every institution, every nation, every city, every government, every marriage, every family, every relationship, every church encounters an impasse. No one and nothing is exempt. Everybody encounters an impasse. An impasse is just like life. It happens. Life happens. An impasse happens. You don't have to even welcome it. You don't have to summon it. It just happens. However, not everybody figures out how to recover or how to get beyond the impasse. I remember the late Yogi Berra said, when you come to a crossroad, you take it. But he wanted you to understand that you don't want to stay at the impasse. You want to move from it. Because there are a lot of people that get stuck at the impasse and never mature outside of the impasse. Let me just share that with you. Emotionally, there are a lot of people that ran into an impasse and they've not got beyond the emotional impasse. They may look fine on the outside, still may be succeeding, but emotionally, they've not gotten beyond the impasse. Let's go back to the text, verse 4. So these guys say now, if we say we'll go into the city, the famine is in the city, and we'll die. We can't eat there. And if we stay here, we're going to die. So going into the city, what's going to happen? If we stay here, what? So let's go over, watch now, watch. So let's go over to the camp of the Syrians and surrender. And if they spare us, we live. But if they kill us, we're going to die. We're going to die anyway. So let's at least get up and do something. Oh, come on. Touch your neighbor and say, we got to get up and do something. So at dusk, they got up and went to the camp. And when they went to the camp, watch this, of the Syrians, they reached the edge of the camp and nobody was there. Imagine. They're sitting there, Mama T, saying that we can't go into the city. There's death in the city because there ain't no food. We can't stay here because there's no food and we're going to die. Let's go to the camp of the Syrians that had surrounded Samaria. And let's go there. They may spare our lives. If they don't, they're going to kill us. We're going to die. But at least we'll die doing something. We won't be talking about it. We'll be doing something. So you got a lot of people talking about they're going to change. Okay, I'm sorry. That ain't my text. I moved away from my lesson. My bad. Come on, breathe. Stay with me now. So they look. So they said, let's go to the camp of the Syrians. And so when they get to the camp of the Syrians, nobody's there. Everybody's gone. Are you hearing me? So what's happening here? When you're going to get beyond an impasse, when you're going to get beyond the obvious, the first thing you need to be sure of is your destination. Where are we going? Where am I going? Where am I going? You see, these guys, they were very sure of where they were going. They were very sure of their destination. We're not going to the city. We're not going to stay here. We're going to the camp of the Syrians. And if we perish, we'll perish, but we'll perish doing something. So you got to be sure of your destination. Some of you right now listening to me, you're at an impasse and you don't have a destination. Let me stop you right now in the midst of your impasse and tell you, you need to have a destination in mind. I know there's some people thinking that if I could just get out of this, but it's got to be greater than just this. It's got to be greater than just this. Second thing I want you to understand. You have to be passionate about arriving to that destination. You must be passionate about arriving to that destination. What good does it do me to have a destination in mind and say that I'm going there, but there's no passion to get me there? I don't know about you, but talk don't do too much of movement. That's why I said I don't know about you. We can talk about it all we want. We can sit down and have a meeting. We can have a discussion. Be a family discussion. We can go in the boardroom and have a meeting. We can do all of this talking, but it will never move us beyond where we are until we have passion about getting there. Number 3, this is a good one. Something that I find very interesting about these lepers, Antoine, they knew who was in their circle. Donovan, these 4 fellas knew each other, capabilities of each other. Though we're handicapped, but we still have something we can contribute. They knew who was in their circle. If you're going to get past your impasse, you need to know who's in your circle. Some of you got the wrong people in your circle to get you from where you need to go. There's some people in your circle that they're not going to help you lead. There's some people in your circle feel like that's the best you can do. Oh, y'all not saying anything. You never run into people like that? You know, when you try to get up and get out, they'll try to talk you out of getting up and getting out because they don't feel like you can do any greater. There are some people that will want to measure you against them. Well, I tried and it didn't work for me, and so now they don't feel like you can. You need to know that those people don't need to be in your circle. They don't need to have your ear. Oh, are you still in here? Remember in Joshua chapter 7 when Joshua was at Ai and he sent the spies out, and the spies went out. They had a little army, about 3,000-4,000 people they took to go and destroy Ai, and them guys took off running. Them fellas from Ai ran them back to the camp. And Joshua was baffled, like, oh my God, what do we do? He falls on his face. He's crying out to God. What do I do? What has happened? How is it that we were supposed to take Ai? You promised us, God, that we would take Ai. I sent out some troops, and they're running from Ai. God said, get up, stop praying. Stop asking me the obvious. And Joshua says, well, God, what do you mean asking you the obvious? He said, the obvious is there's something in your camp. Somebody in your circle. Somebody in your camp that's not on the same team. Somebody in your camp that's not in agreement with you. Somebody, they may look like it, they may sound like it, they may wahoo and give you a yippee-yay and all pat you on the back, have complimentary things to say, but there's somebody in your camp that's holding you back. And I'm telling you, if you expect to get out of your impasse, you're going to need to check your camp. Tell your neighbor, say, you got to check your camp. You got to check it. You got to know who's in your circle. Number 4, you got to be sure your circle includes somebody greater than yourself. You got to be sure that your circle includes somebody greater than yourself. Too many times we want to operate with people that, Kevin, in our circle that's accommodating to us, that like everything we say, do everything we say. It's too intimidating to find somebody that opposes you. Every now and then you need somebody to oppose you. Every now and then you need somebody to refute you. Every now and then you need somebody not to agree with you. I'm not getting many amens, but it's, because we don't like that. No, wait a minute. Yeah, every now and then, listen, I've adopted this adage. If my wife and I are both the same, one of us ain't necessary. Hear me, Christian? If we both the same, one of us ain't necessary. Come here, how far can we go? We both the same. Think the same? Listen, Sybil, I don't even like us to come out wearing the same color clothes. She'll tell you. I'll go in the closet and look. Marcia, I'll go look in her closet just to see what she have out and go in my closet and change my outfit. I'm like, that girl, Lord Jesus. Then I'll go and I'll get dressed and I'll look, and here she comes out of the closet with the same stuff on. I'm like, no, I ain't going. We cannot go to church like this. Then she'll say something real curt like, you just want to look like me. No. Now, watch this. We have been married for over 24 years. And there ought to be sometimes, Lisa, in our lives, in our marital lives especially, where we just think alike. There ought to be, Keith, every now and then, we ought to just cross and connect. Oh, haven't you? Okay, I don't want to be too deep. But, sometimes let me talk to married people. I don't want to get in trouble. Nurse Betty, I don't want to get in trouble, but don't sometimes you start to say something and she say something or he say it and you're like, I was just about to say that. I was thinking the same. Oh, okay. Ooh, hallelujah. I had one yes. Hallelujah. Now, does that mean you're both the same? No. That means that you're bonding and you're growing. And so there are going to be some things that you'll think on the same wavelength because you've adapted to each other. But when I'm talking about you the same inside out, everything about you, no. So these guys, watch this. They needed somebody greater than themselves, and there was somebody in the camp that spoke up and said, look, we can't go to the city. We're not going to stay here and die. Let's go to the Syrians. And then everybody else joined in. There's got to be somebody that thinks outside of the box, in the box with you. Oh, you need them in your camp. They've got to, you got to have a friend in your camp that can see greater than you, and you're not intimidated by their insight. I'm going somewhere because I'm going to set this next point up with this. You've got to have that because, listen, that makes you greater. Anytime you want to run people out of your camp because they don't agree with you, but they're not disagreeable. What? Did you get that part right there? You see, because you have people in there that will not agree with you, and they become disagreeable, and they start division with the vision. You missed that. They start division with here's the vision, and they come and try to divide the vision because they feel like their way is that way. I'm not talking about that group. I'm talking about somebody that sees your vision, has your vision like you, but they see something you don't see. That's what you need in your circle. Somebody greater than you. Are you here? Number 5. You want to get out of this? You want to get out of this impasse? You must be open to out-of-the-box ideas and strategies regardless of who's offering them. You must be open to ideas and strategies regardless of who's offering the ideas. It's out-of-the-box strategies, out-of-the-box thinking. You've got to be open to that. Can I be open with you? Sometimes out of the box makes us very uncomfortable. Okay, I'll say amen. Amen. Sometimes trying to get outside of the box because I'm not familiar with it makes me withdraw. Sometimes trying to get outside of the box, I'll accuse the devil of talking to some people. Come on, y'all. Okay, y'all want to be real spiritual on me now. Yeah. See, the devil is busy. And I know that's the devil trying to get me. No, that's somebody trying to get you to think differently. Okay, look at your neighbor and say, amen, Pastor. Look at them. Tell them, yeah, okay, good. I knew you was going to say amen to me. Watch. All of us have been endowed by God. Listen, all of us have been endowed by God with a measure of creativity, even if you've never tapped into it. All of us. I don't care what age group. I don't care what the handicap. All of us have been endowed by God with some measure of creativity. I was watching a video on Facebook, and there was this girl who had no hands and no arms, and they set her at a piano. And she played the piano with her toes. You know what? I want to call it a lie. I would say that I was trying to look. Let me go do some research to see if there's somebody trying to play us on Facebook, and it is a real thing. Why? Because all of us have have been endowed by God with a measure of creativity that can take us beyond the impasse. You got to see that. That can take us beyond the impasse. It may not look like it. It may not feel like it. My dear, you may not even be able to find a way out of it, but inside of you, there is some creativity. Now, let me show you something else, because I don't want you to start thinking I can do all of this by myself. I want you to see this. I want you to see this. So since all of us, how many of us have been endowed by God with a measure of creativity, even if we've never tapped into it? Watch this. Creativity often needs a situation, a circumstance. Creativity often needs an impasse to awaken it, because it doesn't always just emerge. You didn't notice that? Creativity doesn't always jump at you. Sometimes you've got to be in a situation that makes you start to stress and start to work that brain and start to talk, start to interact. And that you may have to have somebody else next to you that has some creativity jumping in, and you get a revelation from that, and boom, there it is. Creativity often needs a situation. It often needs a circumstance. I don't care how bad it is. You're in a good place because you can get out of it. Tell the person next to you, say, you can get out of it. You can get out of it. You may need that to awaken the creativity. It doesn't always emerge. Sometimes it needs other creativity to be expressed so it can be complemented by your own. Sometimes it needs other creativity to come in and join you so you can go forward and it complement your own. Too much time is spent trying to analyze stuff. Sometimes, Sybil, I bring food home. I don't share my food. My wife calls me selfish. I am not selfish. I just don't share my food. I'll share my money. I'll share anything. I'll even buy you what you want. But when I buy mine, don't start asking for mine. I'm willing to buy you whatever you want, but not none of mine. My granddaddy used to say, your eyes may shine, your teeth may grit, but none of this food shall you get. You better watch it now. Hey. So sometimes, Taj, I will bring something home and say, honey, I bought some food. Really? What is it? I'll tell her what it is. Where you get that? See, that just did it right there. Where'd you get it? Who cooked it? Have you been there before? All of these questions. And I'm like, baby, just pray and eat. Well, you know, I got to go through a questionnaire. I don't want you to have it now. Just give it here. That's why I don't want to be fooling with it. Let me just go on and eat, and you just, whatever. We'll pull up to a place and, hey, baby, let's go try this place. She got to look at it and stuff like, no, I don't want to eat in there. We ain't even tasted it. Y'all kind of quiet. Yeah, we haven't even tasted it. It may be roaches. Where can you live in Texas and not see a roach? Come on. Can we be real with each other? This is Texas, and we have roaches. Various sizes. Come on now. And we even have names for them. Sometimes, listen, sometimes you need that person greater than yourself in your circle to bring a creative idea to stimulate the creativity in you, because you're at a impasse. Are you still here? And then I want you to see something. I want you to see this. Sometimes when that creativity comes and it complements you, you've got to remember different times, different seasons, and different levels in your life call for different types of creativity. Different times, different seasons. Are y'all getting something out of this? Are you sure? I don't want to bore you. Different times, different seasons, different levels in your life. Sometimes they call for different creativity. And what you've been doing is not going to work for you. Thank you. What you've been doing and how you've been doing it won't work. And so you've got to have something different. Okay, let me move on. Okay? You sure you're still with me? Let's look at number 6. Number 6, you're trying to get out of this impasse. When receiving a strategy, somebody says, okay, here, then somebody in your circle comes up with an idea. Think it through first. You know, sometimes when we're desperate, somebody come up with an idea and it makes sense, we're ready to launch it. You know, I thank God I got one amen in here. Ooh, Lord, pray for the rest of us. You know, we just, hey, that was a good idea. Come on, you had an impasse. You've been stuck here, Keith. You haven't been able to get out of this. And so somebody come up with a good idea, Sil, and let's go. Let's rock that thing. You got to think it through first. What do I need to do first? You got to think it through before you act. Watch this. Everybody in my circle needs to understand. Not only do they need to understand, they need to agree. So I got to get, I'm at this impasse and it's a group of us, I've got to have the circle in agreement. I have to have the circle in what? Let me drop a nugget on you. I'm getting a little warm. Why am I the only one sweating? Oh, okay. I'm the only one working. Okay. Watch. Sometimes when we get into situations, we want everybody to agree. And I'm learning that no matter, Michael, how hard I try, you may never understand my life, my plight. But it don't mean we can't be in agreement. I want you to kind of taste that a little bit. You see, we can walk together even though I don't understand. I don't have to understand you totally to agree with principle. Do you hear me? And you got to remember that you've got to stay away from getting stuck with personalities and people's past and all these kind of good things. When creativity kicks in, it's bar none. It overrides all of the failures and all those other things. Creativity is there. It's always been there. And I don't care how many times you've fallen, you can get back up. But if you're going to stay stuck on, well, that's not a good idea because it came from Frank, and you don't know how many times Frank has messed up. But you don't know the God that created Frank, that inside of Frank is the ability to get out of bad situations, even if he can't do so himself. Are you still in here? Man, y'all know I'm doing some good teaching because I'm getting something out of this myself. Okay, here we go. Number 7. Everybody say number 7. Dare to go, do, and become what you've never done or where you've never been before. Got to accept the challenge. Dare to go, dare to do, dare to become what you've never done or where you've never been before. Dare to do it. Accept the challenge. Here's the challenge. You're faced with an impasse. You're at a situation. You can't get out of the situation. It's going to require out-of-the-box thinking, so you've got to go beyond where you've never been, do something you've never done in order to get something you've never had. When I was a little boy, we'd say something like this: I double dog dare you. I know y'all don't know anything about that. Y'all too young for that. Forgive me, Lord. All right, watch this. An impasse is there to make you, listen. An impasse, Mama Wilma, is there to make you and everyone around you better, stronger, wiser. You got that, Lisa? You see, but I'm the one going through this. Nobody understands. This is my plight. I try to explain to people, and I'm so tired of people not understanding me. It just gets to me, and sometimes I just feel so closed in. Stop explaining. They may never understand your plight. So why waste you trying to get somebody you've been working on for 5 years to understand you? Oh, y'all, come on, guys. Are y'all still in here? Because, we spend a lot of energy, a lot of time shopping for folks and taking them out, spending money. And, with me, I ain't going to give you no money now. You don't understand me, we cool. Let's just agree to disagree without being disagreeable. But it can't cost me no money. No. I've never gotten in an argument with my wife and then went to go buy something and tell her I'm sorry. I didn't go buy nothing and bring her back. No, this is Marcy, this ain't no gift. Here, baby, I'm sorry, I was so wrong. No, I just said it's cheaper. Are you hearing me? I don't do the peace offering thing. Are you still here? An impasse, please get this. See, we take it and make it all personal. But if we will allow what's in the impasse to work in us, it not only makes you better, wiser, and stronger, but everybody around you gets to benefit from the value that it had in you. Are you with me? Because I want you to cease trying to explain yourself all the time and getting everybody to understand. I mean, I spent so much of my life trying to get people to like me. Let me help you to understand that real fast. I spent so much of my life, Carolyn, trying to get people to like me because I'm a preacher's kid. I grew up a preacher's kid. And that wasn't a fun thing when you go to school being a preacher's kid. Because everybody knows your daddy is a pastor. And so when you go to school, they make fun of you. So I spent a lifetime, Lisa, trying to get them to like me. I tell you all the time, I tried to learn how to curse. Well, cuss. I started cussing, and they just laughed. They thought it was funny. And that's because I didn't know how to, this didn't modify that one didn't modify this, I'd have them out of line. They wouldn't be, there's some people can curse and be like, ooh, they can curse good. Oh, come on, y'all gonna front me now. I mean, there's some people that can cuss and wipe the taste right out your mouth, like, ooh. And see, I didn't know how to, Christian, I didn't know how to do that. I mean, I started cussing, they just laughing. They thought it was real funny, and I get mad. Then I started rattling off a few more words, and they just laugh even more. They just tell me, David, don't curse, man. Just don't curse. I spent a lifetime trying to get accepted. I'd buy a pack of cigarettes. All I'd do was puff. I would never inhale. I would never buy a joint. I walk up there and somebody have one. Let me get a hit. And I just go down on it. And then they would say, don't give David no more weed because he'd be smoking up the weed. I didn't get the high that they had. I hit it hard. Then I started talking about church. It just didn't fit. Now y'all know. Y'all know we got to go to church tomorrow, don't you? Oh, come on, y'all gonna play me, huh? Wanted everybody to like me. So when they saw me coming, they'd hide the joints, hide the cigarettes, and just tell them to make me mad so I could curse so they could laugh. I think some of them guys got high just to make me mad so they could laugh at me cussing. And so that grew up in me because I was rejected as a young kid. So even in adulthood, I was having this struggle, wanting everybody to like me, wanting to please everybody. Still didn't share my food, but wanting to please everybody, make everybody like me, make everybody happy. Until one day, I came to the startling realization that no matter how you try. They still not going to understand your plight. So I stopped looking for understanding and started looking for agreement. Am I helping somebody this morning? I stopped looking for understanding and started looking for agreement. Because when you're at an impasse, you need people, Betty, that's going to agree with you. Oh, well, I don't understand. I need you to explain this one more time. See, because the way I see it, already I see the dye coming in the vision. See, the way I see this, you know, because I'm not really on the same plane with you, then what you want them to do is, hey, can I get you to just step outside the circle? I'll get back with you. They will not be getting an email. Hello? They will not get a text from me. No tweet, no chat, nada. An impasse is there to make you and everyone around you better, stronger, wiser. Got a question for you. Who around you is better, stronger, wiser because of your impasse? Or have they learned like you to complain, curse, not cuss, to curse the impasse? Have they listened to all of the negative things that have happened as a result of the impasse, which doesn't make them any better, any wiser, or any stronger? God did not send the impasse. Let's get it told. But he will use the impasse. Good news is, God, what are you doing to me? You said you wouldn't put no more on me than I would bear. That's an old covenant scripture. And we got a lot of people that want to ride that. God is not putting anything on you. Destiny is. Are you hearing me? Before you were born, you already had a predestined life. And there were things in that predestined life that were going to happen, but they needed time. They needed you to come out of destiny into time so that it can come to pass. Are you still here? And now, here you are. Your potential is calling you from your future. You don't hear that, do you? You have in your future, your potential is saying, come on. That's where potential calls from. You got to get it. That's where potential calls from. That's why it's called potential. It hasn't happened yet, Lisa, but it's there. Your future is calling you with potential. And we are still staying stuck in this place. I got to wrap up. I got two more, and I got to stop. I won't get to finish the story today, but that's okay. Number 8. Number 8. Don't panic when you experience fear. It's an automatic, especially an impasse. And don't the Bible say something like, God haven't given you the spirit of fear? I said, don't panic when you experience fear. You hear the difference? Don't panic when you experience fear. You cannot stop fear from coming, but you can stop fear from possessing you. So don't panic when you experience fear. It's an automatic, especially at an impasse. Just don't become possessed by what you're experiencing. Why? Because it's only coming to pass. It's only coming what? To pass. My last one, and then I'll stop today. I'll leave these guys at the place where they're about to go in and have fun in the camp. My last one is number 9. And I hope you get this. Every impasse has an expiration date. Every impasse has an expiration date. I don't know how much more I can take. I don't know if I can handle this any longer. Every impasse has an expiration date. How about this? Weeping may endure for a night. Yes, I've been doing this for nights. Then weeping may endure for nights. But joy comes in the morning. What are you telling me? That I know you've been crying, but according to God, it's like summer and winter. You're not going to always have summer because you got to have winter. So you're not going to always be at this impasse. It has an expiration date. And you've got to live. You got to live, mama. You got to live like it has an expiration date rather than a prisoner of the impasse. Am I helping somebody? And you don't know how I'm helping myself. You've got to live like there is an expiration date, Ty, even in the worst of it, even in the most difficult of it, even when it's squeezing the life out of you. You've got to see your future calling you because there's potential. And you've got to stay focused. There's an expiration date. Well, I don't know when. Yes, but it's coming.